So if you want to start by giving us your name and
Yeah.
your affiliation.
Yeah, Tio Hardiman, Special Consultant to the Humane Society of the United States in Dogfighting Campaign. My roles and responsibilities include overseeing the campaign on all levels. There are like 5 components to the campaign, one being the anti-dogfighting advocates. These guys are street-savvy individuals who know how to talk to the guys that are involved in dogfighting, and they talk them down on a regular basis. Another one of the goals of the anti-dogfighting advocates, this goal is to try to recruit guys from that dogfighting, population to attend our positive pit bull training sessions so we can give them something else to do instead of fighting their dogs. Goal number 3 is to distribute public education materials in the communities in which they work in, promoting positive, pet ownership, doing well-being checks on the animals to make sure that the dogs are not scarred up, make sure the dogs are not involved in any more fights, and they look for signs of fighting dogs as well, which is very important because that's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to change the culture of violence as it relates to young men and women who, because of learned behavior, they fight the dogs on a regular basis, and it's passed down from like generation to generation here in Chicago and throughout the United States. And we have a program up and running in Atlanta as well right now. So the second component is the positive pit bull training sessions, where we have a lead trainer. His name is Jeff Jenkins. He kind of facilitates the training, where he tries to take the aggression out of some of the dogs. The dog aggression, it's a work in progress, I must admit. It's not an easy task, but Jeff is pretty good. He's always being quoted as saying that his job is to train the guys on both sides of the leash. He works with the guys, change their mindset as it relates to their dog, and change the dog at the same time. And predominantly 95% of the dogs we work with are pit bulls. That's our main goal and purpose, to try to change the image of the rock star of dogs right now as the pit bull. So that's component number two. Component number 3 is our faith-based leaders outreach initiative, where we try to enlist the help of ministers from throughout the United States to join the campaign to advocate against violence, on animals on a regular basis. So we've signed up about a good 75 faith-based leaders, about maybe 50 in Chicago, and another 25 in Atlanta. So it's a work in progress as well. We're getting there. We're reaching our goals, one day at a time. The other component, number 4, would be community mobilization. What we're doing now in Chicago, whenever we hear about a dog fighting ring taking place or a dog fighting bust by the police, we will organize community residents and a lot of people in the community to go picket the location where the dogs were being fought. So it's something new because we're bringing attention to an issue that was pretty much like taboo. So now when we hear about the dog fighting, we make a loud noise about it. So now the guys, they won't fight their dogs anymore, and they keep asking us, like, what can we do now? Join the campaign to stop it. And the last but not least, criminal justice collaboration, where the Humane Society of the United States, they offer rewards if they were to find somebody that was fighting a dog and it led to an arrest. The roles of the anti-dogfighting advocates are slightly different though, because the guys come from the street life and they can't tell on people per se. But the Humane Society, they're doing pretty good. They've had several calls come in to actually get guys off the streets that are involved in fighting the dogs.
That's great. So you're at the conference here to participate in a panel, right?
Yes.
And what's the focus of the panel?
Well, the campaign, the dog fighting,
Okay.
working in the inner cities, bringing attention to this issue that was pretty much, like I said before, that was pretty under the radar, in other words. And now we're tackling it, we're combating this issue up front and personal. And for the first time in the history of the Humane Society of the United States, we've had the opportunity to introduce the inner city to the Humane Society. So we're going deep. And I plan to have a PowerPoint presentation called End Dog Fighting, in the United States, and I'm going to go over all the components that I just talked to you about, and at the same time I have a lot of pictures and stories that I'm going to tell on how the program is successful. As a matter of fact, we've increased our attendance now. When we first started the pit bull training sessions and the whole campaign in the Austin community on the west side of Chicago, it's been about a year and a half now, we've signed up about 200 participants. And also at the same time, in the Inglewood community, the word got out and spread like wildfire. And the first session we had about 35 young men and their dogs come out and we really only have room for 12. So that shows you like the demand for the program. And then at the same time, our guys, they don't just get the guys to come to the training. They work with them on a regular basis every day, reaching out to them. We provide free food. We organize shot clinics in the community to make sure that all the animals are vaccinated. That's very important. So now one person talks to another person, they'll say things like this. Well, look, I went over there to the campaign in dogfighting, sponsored by the Humane Society of the United States. They helped me out, and they can help you out. So that's the kind of feedback we're getting now. So we have standing room only at all of our training sessions. And our plan is to expand across the United States. We're talking to the Philadelphia Eagles, you know, the home where Michael Vick just joined the Eagles. And we're hoping that the Philadelphia franchise are willing to sponsor an in-dog fighting program in Philadelphia. And I've had a chance to participate with Michael Vick at a few speaking engagements. And I must admit, you know, I know the verdict is still out. It's early now, but I really believe in my heart of hearts that Michael Vick is sincere about trying to spread the message to end violence and end violence against animals in particular.
That's great.
That is encouraging.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. So when you talk about, you mentioned this
Yeah.
was the first time the Humane Society has been introduced to the inner city.
Yes.
Could you talk a little bit about, do you think that there, I don't know if it's culture clash or, you know, what is it that places like the Humane Society need to be learning about?
Well, there's, when I mentioned the fact that this is the first time that the Humane Society of the United States were introduced to the inner city, and let me clarify that for you.
Sure.
What it really relates to is that now we have African American young men and women who are featured on the Humane Society of the United States website, young men that we've turned around, former dog fighters, some of the roughest guys in some of these Chicago neighborhoods and across America, some of the inner cities. Now they're being highlighted as success stories on the Humane Society's website, and that never happened before because we're digging deep. We're rolling our sleeves up, and I want to thank Wayne Pacelli, the president and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States, and Mark Markarian for really taking a chance to bring this issue to the forefront, because when you talk about dog fighting, there's an estimated 40,000 dog fighters across the United States that are on the radar. But under the radar, you probably have about 100,000 more guys that fight dogs, and some ladies that we don't know anything about. So now that everybody's looking, so to speak, we can pretty much end this here, this crazy blood sport that most people are involved in, and they think it's okay because people tell them it's okay. Violence can definitely be unlearned the same way you learn violence. And we have to stop the transmission of the violent thinking from entering the minds of other people, especially as it relates to the pit bull dogs, because the pit bull dog, like any other dog or animal, they're very loyal, and people exploit their loyalty to the utmost, you know, so people just don't care. And a lot of people say they care about their dogs and they have them fighting anyway, but the thing is, if the dog was to lose the fight, you'll care, like, you know, just stick the dog in the basement in a crate somewhere for a whole week, starve the dog, you know, shoot the dog, electrocute the dog. All these things are crazy, but it's happening on a regular basis. So we're promoting, you know, being humane to everybody. We have to promote it every day of the week because, for example, to show you how the campaign is working, it was about maybe 7 or 8 months ago, a 10-year-old kid called me, and he left me a message on my phone. It was a Sunday evening around 6 o'clock. Tio, you got to get over here. There's a pit bull dog on the street hiding under a car because the older guys on the block are throwing bricks at the dog. Because everybody feels the pit bull is a villain. The pit bull is a rough dog. So I rushed over to the scene, and the dog was under the car, yes, but it was a hot summer day. The dog, flies were following the dog. The dog was severely dehydrated, malnourished, and the dog really, he couldn't have been more than 7 or 8 months old. And these guys were trying to kill the dog based on the fact that the dog was a pit bull. And I'm glad the 10-year-old called me, but you know, just the tragic part about it is that I did rescue the dog out of that situation, but he died in the backseat of my car before I could get him to the emergency hospital in that situation. But the young kid felt enough about me, and he trusted my relationship with him to call me. So now we have guys on the lookout out there trying to make sure guys don't fight their dogs, and we've deputized a lot of guys who we can't hire personally to do the work. But we have them out there, you know, they're like our eyes and our ears. And in order to change another generation, you have to enlist the help of the people in the neighborhood. So that's what I meant also, because the Humane Society of the United States, they're taking a different look. They're looking from another lens now, because mainly it's a lot of the law enforcement techniques and looking at it from a distance. Now they're kind of zooming in, and a lot of the personnel and staff from the Humane Society of the United States, they've been out in the community with me and the guys to really get a close-up look at this problem.
So are you a lawyer by training?
No, I have a master's degree in inner city studies.
Okay.
I'm more so like a community activist, community organizer. My roots are just like President Barack Obama. I started my career as a community organizer, and then I work in the field of violence prevention. I do my best to try to stop people from acting out on another person in an aggressive manner. And I work for an organization known as like Ceasefire, that's what they call it. That's like the other hat I wear, the ceasefire hat. But the reason I came up with this idea to introduce a program to kind of confront and combat dogfighting, because most of the time when I went out to stop guys from being violent against one another, 30% of the time pit bull dogs were present. And I couldn't keep overlooking the carnage. I would see these dogs, half of their faces were bitten off, their ears hanging. The dogs are malnourished once again, treated in such barbaric ways. So, I always believed in standing in the gap. My birthday is September 21st, and I won't tell you the year. But I was born on the International Day of Peace.
So assuming that there are going to be a lot of lawyers or law students here, what message do you hope you can get through to them?
Well, the main message I would like to get through to the law students here at the conference is we all have to take a look at this issue and try to empower the people that are most affected by this issue of dogfighting, and really lend our resources, mentally, spiritually, and physically, to these young men and women who are misguided out here in society. And from a law standpoint, I think it would be very, very special, because I promote multiple messengers, going in, talking to the young man, trying to make sense out of the madness and help bring people to the other side. See, the best rewards you can really get from this kind of work is that you see a guy that used to be so tough and so rough and totally entrenched and involved in that mindset and that culture of violence, and now you see this guy working for the common good of animals. That's a miracle right there, and those guys need to be lifted up by members of the law community, and let's try to help these young men get to the next level where they can perhaps become a lawyer or become a special person in this here overall campaign that we're all working on to end this madness.
How long have you been doing this?
Well, I've been a special consultant for about 2 years now.
Okay.
To the Humane Society. And when I said that they've come around now, because it takes time. You're dealing with corporate America to a degree. You're dealing with an agency that usually would just deal with it from a law perspective, like I was talking about.
Yeah.
But now they're taking a deeper look, a closer look. Because you're not going to straighten out all the ills of society by just law enforcement. We have to have other avenues and outlets for young men and women who come from these dysfunctional neighborhoods and families. So to try to be punitive all the time is kind of ludicrous.
Yeah.
Okay, to me, we need to put a remix on everything we do and begin to champion this cause together. And what I like is that we have people from all cultures and communities getting involved now. It's not just the black community, Latino, everybody. That's what it's going to take, like building up a healthy, humane nation.
Yeah.
Okay.